Hi friends, today we are going to discuss two topics, okay? Microbes as biocontrol agents and how are microbes acting as biofertilizers, okay? So to start with, we are going to see how is microbes used as biocontrol agents, okay? So what is biocontrol? Biocontrol refers to the use of biological methods for controlling plant diseases and pests. So in this biocontrol method, what we are going to do is that we are going to use a microorganism for controlling pests. So instead of pesticides, which are chemicals, okay, we are not going to use pesticides. As you know, what is the harmful effect of pesticides? Pesticides causes pollution, isn't it? They are causing pollution of water, they are causing pollution of soil, they are causing pollution of air. So in order to control this pollution, what we are going to do is that we are going to use the microbes. So when we are going to use this microbes, we call it as biocontrol method, controlling with the help of biological organisms, or we call it as biopesticides, okay. So plant disease and pests are controlled with the help of what? We are going to use it as we are going to control it with the help of microorganisms or living organisms. That one we call it as what? Biocontrol methods, okay. So here we are just going to rely on natural predation. Natural predation means what? Pest and predator relationship. So when I am seeing that one is acting as a pest means what? Which is going to harm the crop, okay. Now what I am going to do is that instead of applying chemicals over it, I am going to introduce a predator into it, okay. So when the predator is introduced, what the predator is going to do? The predator will go and eat up. They will find the pest and they will be going and eating up this pest, isn't it? So that process we call it as what? We call them as natural predation, okay. So this can also be called as an approach towards organic farming, where we are going to go green, okay. So organic farming using only organic substances, biological substances which are not harming the ecosystem, okay. So organic farming. So organic farmers, what they are creating a system, okay, where the insects are sometimes called pests are not eradicated. Eradicated means what? When we are spraying some chemicals and all the insects are killed. Even the useful as well as the harmful one, sometimes it is killed, isn't it? So it's very dangerous. So in order to prevent that, what we are going to do is that we are going to introduce pest. So they will eat up every pest cannot be correctly means they will multiply, so their number will not increase, pest will remain, okay. It's not eradicated, it's not vanished from the earth. So imagine one species is there and when we are applying chemical, that species is vanished from the earth. It's not that good, isn't it? It's not correct in our path. So what we are going to do is that we are going to introduce what? We are going to just check the balance. Check the balance means what? We are going to control it by biological methods, wherein we are not going to allow it to grow in numerous in number, okay. So much amount they will not be produced. To some extent we are going to control the pest so that much harm to the crop is not caused and the farmer is benefited, okay. So but instead they are kept at manageable levels by a complex system of check and balance. So predators are going and eating the pest number is not increasing, the pest number is kept under control. That is the main aim of what? Organic farmers, so that I am not killing all the organism, this particular species, I am not eradicating the particular species, okay. So that is the main aim of what? This organic farming, which is acting as what? Biocontrol agents, okay. So here in this slide you can see some of the biocontrol agents are given and the pest name is given. So biocontrol agents are the one who is the acting as predators and the pests are the one who is being acting as prey, okay. So you can find aphids and mosquitoes. So the pests like aphids as well as mosquitoes can be controlled by introducing in that area ladybird and dragonflies. So what is this ladybird and dragonflies doing? They are eating up this aphids and mosquitoes. So like that, aphids and mosquitoes are got rid of to some extent. Most of the aphids and mosquitoes that are living, they are being eaten up by whom? These ladybirds and dragonflies. So their number is kept under control. The next is very important, Bacillus thuringiensis. In short, we write it as what? BT. BT, cotton you would have heard, isn't it? So this BT. Bacillus thuringiensis is a bacterium. Okay, so in the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, spores of these Bacillus thuringiensis are mixed with the water and it is applied to the roots of the plants. It is applied to the plants. Okay, so like brassicas or fruit trees, they are being applied. Now what does insect larvae do? This insect larvae comes and try to eat this plant. At that time, these spores of the plants are going into its body. When the spores enters into the gut or the intestine, what they release a toxin. Okay, so this toxin is causing harm to the insect larvae. The toxin released into the gut of the insect larvae kills the insect larvae. By this, what is killed? The insect larvae are killed. Okay, so that is one method of controlling the pest. Next, it is a fungi, Trichoderma. They are specifically killing the pathogens. When this trichoderma is there, the plant pathogens, when they are taking the entry, they are being controlled by whom? This trichoderma. Okay, so they will not allow the plant pathogens to grow. The next is your baculovirus, very important part. Okay, so baculovirus, which is coming under a genus called as nucleopolyhedrovirus. They are two terms which you have to know from this. Okay, so the first term is they are species specific, narrow spectrum. Okay, first is species specific, second one is narrow spectrum. Means what? See, if I am applying a substance or chemicals or a biological organism, if that organism is killing not only the harmful one but also the useful one, then my purpose is not served, isn't it? So I am damaging the ecosystem. So in order to prevent that, these baculoviruses are having a specific property. What is that specific property? They are species specific. Species specific means what? If A is the organism which is damaging the crop, then if you are applying this baculovirus, only that species A is killed, other species are not killed. Okay, so that is what we use the term what? Species specific. Narrow spectrum, the same only, which means that it's not broad spectrum, not all organisms, not all pests are killed, specifically narrow minded. Okay, specifically only that pest is killed. So that one we call it as what? Narrow spectrum. Okay, so baculovirus are killing insects and other arthropods. Arthropods, you know, Arthropoda phylum. Okay, so they are species specific in nature and they are narrow spectrum. What is that? Biocontrol agent. Okay, biopesticides. Clear? It's a very important question. Now we are moving on to the next part, microbes as biofertilizers. So what is fertilizers? Fertilizers are things that enriches the soil's fertility. Okay, so what is enrich? Soil's fertility is enriched. So this biofertilizers, here the bio, so obviously we are going to use what? Living organism. Instead of chemicals, we are going to use living organisms, and these living organism is going to enrich the soil's fertility. Okay, so bacteria, fungi, cyanobacteria are some biofertilizers which enriches the soil's fertility. You can see here. So the first is bacteria as biofertilizers. You have already learned rhizobium, isn't it? So what is rhizobium? It is a symbiotic bacteria, symbiotic association, which means mutually benefited partners. If this rhizobium is present in the plants, so you know where is this rhizobium present? In the root nodules of leguminous plants. So these root nodules on the leguminous plants, when they are staying, what this bacterium is doing? They are taking up the atmospheric nitrogen and fixing it in the soil. Okay, so their role is what? Taking up the atmospheric nitrogen and fixing it in the soil in the form that they can use it. Okay, so that is the role of what? This bacteria. Another one is the free living nitrogen fixers. Okay, so the free living nitrogen fixers, no symbiosis, means they are not mutually benefited, rather they are living freely in the soil and they are using the enriching the soil's fertility. Okay, so they are free living bacteria which absorbs the free nitrogen from soil, air and convert it into salts like what? Amino acids, and they are enriching what? The soil's fertility. Okay, so that is the role of what? Azospirillum and Azotobacter, which is free living bacteria which are helping in enriching the soil's fertility. Okay, the next is your cyanobacteria. What is the cyanobacteria? They are also blue green algae. They are also fixing the atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, thereby adding organic matter to the soil. Okay, in much amount they are helping in what? So they are photosynthetic in nature, isn't it? Like nostoc, Anabina, Oscillatoria, they are photosynthetic in nature. They prepare food. Along with that, when they are also helping in what? Fixing the atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, so they are adding organic matter to the soil. Next is your fungi. Under that, the example is glomus. Okay, very important. Here we are going to learn a new term called as mycorrhiza. So what is mycorrhiza? Mycorrhiza, when you are seeing, it is an association with the roots of higher plants. Fungal association. Okay, fungi is going to form a symbiotic. Symbiotic, you know, mutually beneficial. Okay, so fungi is acting as it's an association, symbiotic association with whom? The roots of the higher plants. Okay, so this association between the fungi and the roots of the higher plants, we call it as what? Mycorrhiza. Okay, example is what? The glomus. Okay, so fungal hyphae, what they are doing? They are absorbing the phosphorus. What they are absorbing? Phosphorus from the soil, and they are giving it to the plant. So like that, the phosphorus requirement is being taken by the plants with the help of this fungi. Okay, rather the fungi is getting a place to stay on. So both are mutually benefited. Okay, this association is having some other advantages also. So what are the advantages? Other advantages, when you see, this association helps in providing resistance to root-borne pathogens. The root-borne pathogens means the pathogens that are attacking the roots will not attack in case the mycorrhiza is present, the fungi is present over there. Okay, and they are showing some tolerance to the salinity and drought. If at all water is not there, applied for some time, they can withstand. Okay, and if it is, the soil is much saline also, to some extent they can grow in saline soil, which is a very good thing, isn't it? Yeah, so they are showing tolerance toward the salinity as well as drought. Okay, and overall what will happen when all these conditions are fulfilled? They are tolerant to drought, they are tolerant to salinity, they are tolerant to the pathogens, so automatically they will help in the increase in the plant growth and development. Like that, slowly you can find the plant is growing and the production is much. So in microbes as biofertilizers, what we discussed is that some of the microbes, okay, so that is examples of these microbes, and they are helping as what? Biofertilizers, they are acting as fertilizers and enriching the soil's fertility. Chemicals are not used, so we are benefited. Hope you have understood. So today we discussed two topics. What are the two topics? Microbes as biocontrol agents and microbes as biofertilizers. Thank you. Meet you soon.